Hey everyone, it's me again, Brittany, and I'm here today with the long-awaited bookshelf tour. I'm standing in front of my shelves right now. The ones that I'm going to be showing you are just the ones in this room. Quick facts, I have the white Billy bookshelves from IKEA. I always kind of leave it down in my description as well if you want to look. I have most things down in my description, so check that out. This bookshelf tour is going to be a little bit different than how I did my last one, or my previous ones in general. I don't want to be walking you through every single book. First of all, it's a pain to edit. Second of all, it's just not as much fun in my opinion. I'm going to be going shelf by shelf just to kind of give you a brief snapshot of what it looks like and everything, but not going to be talking about all of them. And if I'm ever moving too fast, just pause the video on each of the shelves to be able to see every title that's on there. But again, that's not what this specific one's about. I mean, most people that watch this have seen my channel before, but if not, and if you're new here, definitely just pause during each of the shelves because I'm not going to be getting into it. Again, they're just not that much fun to watch. My last one was over an hour long and I got multiple comments saying this is about as long as a movie, and I feel you. It was longer before the editing. So I'm excited though. Not only am I doing this a little bit quicker though because I want it to be a little bit quicker, but also because I am moving today. I need to get these books off the shelves. I've been waiting to do this specific video to finally get these books all packed away. They're moving with me to my mom's house. Expect a reorganization video soon. It's gonna be different. Stay tuned. There's a lot of things happening right now. I don't really have much else to say. Let's just jump into the video. Again, check my description and pause whenever you want to see any of the books on the shelves. So let's start at the top. Hi. Just starting right at this first shelf. I really try to keep all of my top shelves nostalgic books more than anything. So this one has a lot of those dystopians from childhood. Nothing that I really reach for that often. Yeah, this is a strange angle. Let's just go to the next one. Something I guess I should know is I didn't really stick to genres per shelf this time around. It was really more of like what I thought looked nice together, so on to the next one. For this one, again, it was mostly just books that I thought looked pretty good together. These are largely fantasy books that have metallic or earthy tones to them. I mean, these ones just didn't really fit aesthetically anywhere else. Fantasy series, since I don't like to split them up, were definitely the hardest thing to put away in my shelf this time because I did largely focus on color without obviously doing rainbow shelves. I feel like I should talk maybe about books that really interest me per shelf, but in this one I would say like the biggest thing that I haven't talked about at all in this last year, but I still want to finish, is actually the Cinda Williams-Chima Shattered Realms series. I read most of it and the Seven Realms in 2019, and I still haven't read the last book for Shattered Realms, but it's definitely one of my favorite like underrated fantasy series. Oh, and also the Archived and the Unbound. These I didn't think I was gonna like nearly as much as I ended up liking because once people read them after her other series, they didn't like them, but I actually loved these. So I would still give those a shot if you were nervous too. I would have to say that of all of my top shelves, this one is probably the prettiest, largely because it's all of my like Rick Riordan books. Just so pretty and colorful. I really love them, but these are another one that like, for the most part, it's hard to fit into a color category. They're just beautiful and rainbow. This is the Gone series. I feel like I get questions about this all the time in my videos. They're just very obvious titles. For anyone who has read the Gone series, no, I have not read the follow-up series to this one. I've only read these ones. And for anyone who doesn't know what this series is, if you like survival, dystopian, sci-fi kind of stories that are pretty dark, you would love these. I would check them out. I haven't read them in a long time, so I don't know how they've aged, but when they first came out, I loved them. All right, and we're actually just gonna talk about all of my top corner shelves in one go. These are 3 shelves that I've obviously like cornered out. If you have the space, I would definitely do this kind of like cornering system. They have the gears for it at IKEA. The corner shelves are probably the ones that I most tried to stick to an aesthetic with. These top shelves alone were just a lot of like darker red and grayish black books. I mean, for these ones, we have actually quite a few of like my more nostalgic series. Obviously, we have like Twilight and the Shadow and Bone series from the old covers, the Hush Hush series. Oh my gosh. They're books that I don't always reach for and don't want to always reach for. so I just don't have very strong opinions about him. This is just directly below those shelves. This is probably, gosh, you're gonna hear me say this a lot, but this is one of my favorite areas. I mean, I kind of randomly decided to make these shelves, some of them at least, only one color. And this one, like the gold shelf, was the inspiration behind that because I realized that I had a lot of gold books and it would be kind of cool to do something with them. Dune is probably the one that fits in the least well in this area, but it's such a stunning book, so I mean, who cares? This shelf is this one's one of my favorites. I feel like I'm gonna say this a lot. Someone count below how many favorite shelves I apparently have, but it's just so stunning. I mean, I have some really cool knickknacks on this shelf from book boxes. I have like my really cute skeleton from Halloween, but I've decided to keep him on the shelf forever. He just does really good there. And then probably one of the ones that you can see the least of, but I have my 2 Death Note novels. This is like my spookier shelf, and I just think it looks so good. These are stunning books. A lot of them are actually more special editions. Like obviously this is the lore copy from Fairy Loot that they did. That was a special edition. That's probably the most stunning one that they've ever done. We have obviously the special edition of Dune and Name of the Wind, The Hate You Give. These are very beautiful books. Very good books and very beautiful books. Cruel Prince shelf. I mean, we have this little thing from an Owl Crate box, and then we just have the special edition from the Fairy Loot that they did, which is again a very stunning snaky book. Oh my gosh, I just realized. What? Cool. I don't know how I just noticed that. These are very, very, very pleasing. And actually, we're about to move that way, and that shelf is also very beautiful to me, so let's do it. Now, when I tell you that this is one of my favorite shelves, I feel like it's not that surprising because it's a lot of my fancy collector's editions of books. I mean, we have all my rocks. Yes, I love crystals. I guess I'm a crystal bitch. These are the Dark Artifices trilogy that are the special edition Waterstones fun covers that are really next to impossible to find. Shout out to one of you guys who actually sent me Lady Midnight, because otherwise I never would have finished the trilogy. Chain of Gold that came in, I think this one was the Fairy Loot box. These are just the special editions of Clockwork Angel and City of Bones. We have like my collector's editions of Throne of Glass and A Court of Thorns and Roses. These are so cool because it's like a slipcase. Like I think this shelf is just the prime example of the fact that obviously not only do I love books, do I love reading books, but I am also a collector of books because this is this is that entirely. I don't normally read these special editions because I don't want to hurt them, and I just love having them. They're so beautiful. It's a great way just to show my love for series. This is the newest one that I've added, and it's The Witcher. She's beautiful. And then we have this beautiful edition of A Deadly Education. I like the back more than the front, obviously. And this is just a pretty shelf. This is just a beautiful, vapid, aesthetic shelf with some amazing books, in my opinion. This is a very pretty shelf. This is a very pretty shelf. I've worked with Book of the Month in a ton of videos, so I get a lot of their books. They're really filling out the whole rainbow portion of my shelf because since I am largely a fantasy reader, a lot of the books I read are very dark, as in the covers, and the ones that Book of the Month sends, since they're like adult books, not sponsored by the way, it's just pretty obvious when you see all the little BOTMs. They're really filling out all the like colorful portions of my shelf, so thank you to that. These are, again, mostly tall, colorful books. I try to keep it in like a pinky, green, purple realm. It's just very pretty. This is honestly one of the shelves that I've read the least from. Both of my most colorful shelves are ones that I've read the least from. There definitely are ones that I'm very, very interested in. I really want to read Arsenic and Adobo, Dark Matter, Foul is Fair. Actually, this whole like stack is very intriguing to me. For the ones I have read that I definitely recommend, all the ones that I've read, which is You Should See Me in a Crown and The Astonishing Color of After, they're both really good. If there's ever a situation where like I cannot afford to buy any more books for the rest of my life, I'm set for a while because I still have so many books that I haven't read, and I love that. It's very relieving to my mind. And right next to that beautiful, colorful shelf, we have a dark shelf because, you know, balance. So yeah, I mean on this one, again, it's pretty dark books. I actually have read a good portion of these, and there's some ones that I really adore. First we have, this little tin that I got in the Owl Crate box. Then we have just some purpley blue green books that are all the same height, which, oh guys, let me tell you, finding things that are the same height is really easy with hardcovers, really hard with paperbacks. There's some hidden gems in here. Furthermore is absolutely one of my favorite books of all time. We have this beautiful edition, which I want to find a different place for, but I just haven't found one quite yet, of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. We have the Charlotte Holmes series, which I still need to get the last book of and finish the entire series, but it's one of my favorites. It's so good. Now for directly beneath that, these are more prettier collector edition books, but these ones are definitely classics, obviously. Some of them are the Barnes & Noble Classics editions. Some are these really stunning illustrated editions, basically. Yeah, they just have like things to open and do. They remind me a lot of... Okay, so when I was a kid, I would go to Borders a lot, and in like the kids section, they always had those giant books for like history. There was one on like Egyptian mythology and just Egypt in general, and I always wanted them, but they were really expensive, but you could open up things and it was really fun. They probably still have those. I just now don't go into the kids section very often. Mug that actually my friend got me from Disneyland. It just has like a cute little stack of books, and all of my wood marks are in here. Then my Ellen Hopkins hardbacks. To this day, still some of my favorite books. I haven't loved a lot of the newer things that she's come out with, but this was my introduction to verse. I didn't even know that that was what like this kind of writing was called. She talks about a lot of dark topics. Definitely trigger warnings. Go into it carefully because she really covers all the things. Another dark bunch of books over here. These ones are like brownish black that fade actually out into my like cream colored books. First, obviously the little knickknack on here, another one of the book tins from Owl Crate. These are really cool, especially for decoration, but I haven't really shown you the other ones, but I keep things inside of them, depending. Bookish things. Have some very tall, dark books. Not as in topic, but as in like the covers themselves. So there is a lot of fantasy on here because again, fantasy tends to run dark, fades out into like these creamy colored books that I didn't have anywhere else to put. Yes, guys, I get questions all the time on whether I've read Lobisona yet or not, because Romina Garber is Argentinian, which is what I am, so people are always curious. I haven't read it yet. I just haven't been in much of a fantasy mood, so I've been kind of putting off some of my most anticipated fantasies because I don't want to do it at the wrong time and then not like it. Yeah, we have another edition of Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. You guys know I own multiple editions of a lot of books. Okay, now this one, there we go. This is just a blue shelf. I guess I had a lot more bluish, grayish books than I'd realized originally, and they were able to make up an entire shelf. Some to note in here, obviously the Wayward Children series by Shauna McGuire. These are so fast, they're so fun. I love Shauna McGuire's writing. It's just so good. I still haven't read Come Tumbling Down or her newest book. That'll be soon, I'm sure. All Boys Aren't Blue. This is actually one of the few nonfictions that I have read, and I adored it. This is an amazing autobiography. If you listen to the audiobook, I believe that he's the one that narrates it, and it's just so good. I've really been meaning to read Kiki's Delivery Service. It's one of my all-time favorite Studio Ghibli movies. I used to watch it on repeat when I was a kid. I now have my own little black cat, and I had no idea it was based on a book, so shout out to the subscriber that actually sent this to me and informed me of that. I actually just finished The Lost Apothecary. I thought I was gonna love this because it gave me like Aqua Tofana vibes, my Bailey Sarian fans out there, but it didn't give me those full vibes, unfortunately. But yeah, corner shelves now. Once again, the corner shelves are probably some of the most aesthetically pleasing ones, just because I knew I was going to want to film a lot in front of this area. We have 2 rows of white books. These are all of my Nevernight books. This was just like the UK hardcovers. I do have a lot of copies because I got a lot of collector's boxes for Dark Dawn when it was coming out, but I still don't have the US version of Nevernight. Then we have a green shelf, which this is actually like the newest shelf that I've made, and it was when I was rearranging everything to fit things from my last book haul, and I love it so much. I don't know why I didn't think of having a green shelf before. The only non-green book in here is The Starless Sea, and this, I just knew I wanted it in my corner. These are the reissued editions, I think is what they're called, for the Game of Thrones series, and then my Poppy War books. So it's at this point that my microphone actually stops recording, so we're just going to make it up. I'm going to do a voiceover and we're going to try and guess what's happening. But I was showing you my bat light, which, iconic. It's amazing. I love it. This is the shelves right under the ones we were just at. This is me rearranging Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. I don't know why I tend to put books in without making sure they're in the right order, even when I know it. That shelf had been just black with some color, all the same height. The middle shelf was red because I kind of liked the single color shelves in this corner. And now on the far right side, these are my V.E. Schwab books. I have a ton of Darker Shade of Magic and just a Mia Corvair mug with some metal bookmarks. And now this shelf right next to that one is just my black and red books. I have quite a few of them. I'm showing you a book tin right there. It's one of the ones you get in a fairy loot box. But some to note in this are Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant. It's one of my favorite books. Mira Grant is amazing. It's a just scientific horror book about mermaids. It's amazing. She's the author of the Every Heart a Doorway series. And now we're on to the next shelf. Oh my goodness, I'm going so quick. But this is just a yellow and orange shelf. I have not read most of the books on this shelf, which is a pity, but they look really, really dang good. And I'm very excited for a few of them. I'm showing you the Elizabeth Aceveda books, Clap When You Land, and With the Fire on High, which I definitely want to get to, and the Gildan ones as well. Honestly, most of these books. Oh, Felix Ever After is one I have gotten to and loved. Same with Permanent Record by Mary H.K. Choi. And then so is Female of the Species right above it, but I didn't point it out. And now on the shelf to the right of that, we have, I don't know why, but it keeps going in and out of focus for this entire shot, so please ignore. I'm so sorry. But this one is just fantasy books that don't fit in color scheme wise with any of the other shelves, and they do pull a little bit darker. So yeah, here I'm noticing that Arch Enemies is in the wrong spot. I'm telling you, it's always when I reorganize my bookshelves that I just randomly put them in the wrong order. But sorry about that again. And I still haven't read Supernova, but I do have to get to it. And also Heart of Flames, which is the second book to Crown of Feathers, which I absolutely adored. Still have not gotten to it. Also, the third book is now out, and I need to get it. Right under that shelf, we have kind of like greenish toned, dark green and blues. These are, again, fantasy books for the most part. Well, not really. We have my Fallen Kingdom series all the way on the right-hand side. Here I'm just pointing out Star-Touched Queen and Crown of Wishes by Roshni Chokshi. They are definitely the most notable books on this shelf. They're amazing. They are like Hindu mythology. And onto the next shelf. Oh my goodness. These, to the left of that shelf, are just my shorter black books, and I'm showing you here that I have all of my Fairy Loot secret books on this shelf as well, just because. I do really like how this shelf turned out, but there isn't that many to note, is what I think I was saying right there. Ooh, except for Mirage by Samaya Dodd. It is a really cool story that mixes a lot of different genres. Definitely look into it if you are intrigued by history, but also sci-fi, but also fantasy. And now to the left of that shelf, in sharp contrast, we have my all-white shorter hardcovers. And then this is just another mug that I have with fun, fancy bookmarks. It's one of the mugs that you get in Owl Crate boxes, or that you used to get for the Harry Potter ones. And then on this shelf, I'm pointing out A Tragic Kind of Wonderful. It's an amazing story. It's fiction, but it's following a girl with bipolar, and I think that it's done really well, and it's such a good look at what bipolar can look like in someone. Obviously, there's a lot of different variations and things like that, but I thought it was done really, really respectfully and well. And then Emergency Contact, stunning cover, also really good book. And lastly, Witchwood by Tahada Mafi. Highly recommend the Furthermore series, Alice in Wonderland, but so good. All right, now to the left of that shelf, we have all of my Sarah J. Maas books in this corner. I'm just starting on the left by showing you my little minis. Those could not have happened without you guys. Thank you for those gifts. I adore them so much, and I just put them matching with their little big versions at the back. And then I do have two other Kingdom of Ash books in the middle shelf. And then these covers for A Court of Thorns and Roses are the ones that came in the Illumicrate A Court of Silver Flames box, and I finally put them on. They look great. I'm just pointing out my Aylin and Rhysand Funkos that are actually made by some of you guys, which is incredible. And I'm moving my little lantern now, and I'm just showing you the paperback versions of Throne of Glass. I still have to get Kingdom of Ash, but it looks really aesthetic with the Crescent City books that I have, and that's the Tor edition, is I think what I'm saying. Also, for anyone who can lip read, this must be fun for you. I personally cannot, so I'm just making this up as I go. Right under that shelf, we have paperbacks. The leftmost shelf is some poetry collections, Ellen Hopkins particularly, but here I'm just showing you my Halsey I Would Leave Me If I Could poetry book. Still have not read it, but it's signed by Halsey. That was a surprise from my boyfriend. It's amazing. The middle shelf is just white books, and then the right shelf, I'm talking about my Night World series and just like my LJ Smith paperbacks that I absolutely adore. I am still not giving up on the fact that Night World should one day have a finale. Throwback. That is like old YA. And then here I'm showing you just a paperback version of The Name of the Wind, that's in Spanish, that I got in Argentina. And to the right of that, we have more paperbacks, colorful paperbacks. In the middle, I have some of my graphic novels, and then on the right, I have all of like my romance paperbacks. I love how pretty and colorful they look. I definitely want to buy more. And then the left is just like my darker paperbacks. Not much else to say. To the right of that, we have my Shadowhunter shelf. I'm just showing you my little knickknacks. I have a Mortal Instrument cup that I got in a fairy loot, and I had an Angelic Rune light up thing. There isn't much to say here. I think I was just mentioning that I still haven't read Chain of Gold, and I know I need to get to it. And then the final in my big bookshelves is this super colorful, kind of childlike shelf, I guess. I have all of my manga that I own, and then I also just have my illustrated versions of Harry Potter. I have a hard time parting with them. They're just so stunning. So I'll likely keep those. I don't think I'd ever buy more if they are making more. But then here I'm just showing you my series of unfortunate events. Those are what got me into reading, guys. I have to keep them always. They're incredible. They're what started it all, really. And now the final shelf is just my short shelf all the way to the left of the ones that we've been talking about so far. This was a catch-all shelf. I'm kind of like removing my knickknacks right there, and we see a lovely Luna tail. But the very bottom is just jam-packed with paperbacks. I have like my box sets of Lord of the Rings and Percy Jackson and just all of the paperbacks that I own. And then in the middle shelf, those on the very left-hand side, I'm thinking about unhauling. And then I was mentioning that the right-hand side I don't really like that much either, but then I'm like, oh, well, the middle, though, I'm very interested in. I still really want to read, like, Love Story and Pride, basically all those that are stacked up, but just not the right and left. And then the very top are more fantasy or tall hardcovers that just don't fit in anywhere else, color-wise. And I think I was talking about how I was bummed that Muse of Nightmares and Strange the Dreamer can't have their own spot because they're so stunning to look at. And, I'm just talking more about books that I really want to read. Basically, that whole top shelf, if I haven't read it yet, which are the ones that I think I pointed out specifically, I really do want to get to, unsurprisingly. And that's it. Alright, so that's gonna be it for this video today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the bookshelf tour. I have to kind of wrap it up. I'm sorry if it wasn't as aesthetic or fluid as it could have been, but obviously today is literally moving day. I swear the procrastination made sense in my mind because I had to get everything else packed, so it's fine. I still hope you enjoyed it. I can't wait to reorganize these, and I mean, you'll see. There's a lot coming when it comes to the moving stuff. I'll update you in a later video, but I still hope that you had a fun time, and I will see you in my next one. Goodbye! And just me again popping in to say thank you for bearing with me with this weird voiceover situation, and here's a sneak peek of the reorganization video to come. I am literally editing it as we speak. So,